Welcome back, Warriors, to another episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and our 1% Club. So, once again, thank you for all your subscriptions, comments, likes. Hopefully, this information is helping you. Our channel is dedicated to try to have you become the best version of yourself you can be. And no matter what your age is, no matter if you're male, female, trying to figure out the best information we can provide for you to become better in the things you're doing. So any kind of comments, those type of things can certainly help. So I love history and I love looking at what things have happened in the past. And so one of the previous videos we talked about, well, two of them, one was Plato and the Academy, and then also we did one on the fall of the Roman Empire. So this is going to be connected more with the Roman Empire, but every course of dynasties and things that you see, you're going to have some people who are moral people who really kind of look at trying to be that stoic person, and then you're going to see the opposite. And so we saw that through the Roman Empire. They always say that with any dynasty you have, that the dynasty will never be able to deal with their own level of success. And this is what we mean by that. That eventually the dynasty gets so big, so strong, that they crumble within. They can't deal with their successes. So no dynasty has really been able to ever withstand all their successes. What ends up happening is that within a lot of success, people get greedy, people get corrupt, and all of a sudden they think they're indestructible. They think nothing's going to happen to them, and all of a sudden now you see a problem, because what ends up happening is those moral standards, those standards of right and wrong you stood for, crumble. That's why in a lot of dynasties you have to go to the legal aspect of things. And why do you think we have so many laws, my friends? We have laws because people are doing things wrong. And because they're doing things wrong, they have to put laws in place to protect people against themselves for the most part. And so when you look at this type of situation, no dynasty has ever kind of overcome their own success, because they end up being corrupt and they struggle within, and all of a sudden now they are corrupted because of what's happening inside. Okay? And this to me is the key to looking at any kind of situation that, like Lord Acton said, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? When you're looking at trying to kind of look at the history of mankind, you're going to see a lot of great success, and then right after the success, you're going to see a lot of corruption. And the Roman Empire was no different than that. So our topic today is going to be Marcus Aurelius. Now let me give you a little background history here. We know Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was probably around 43, 44, somewhere around there, BC, before Christ. Okay? And Caligula, the other person I mentioned, was a little bit later than that. What happened was, once you had several of those emperors, you start getting lascivious behaviors within. Certainly the time of Caesar and Cleopatra, Mark Antony, all those. And then Caligula was really kind of known for all that sort of immoral behavior and all kinds of lascivious type behaviors. Now you had a period of time then, once Christ was born, about 230, 40 years before the Roman Empire actually fell. And it fell because a lot of all the little tribes came in, including Attila the Hun, and really kind of took over and divided the Roman Empire. Well, that started because of a slow decline over 200 years, probably 300 years, maybe even more than that, of poor behaviors within. And when I mean poor behaviors within, that was really talking about how people became corrupt, their value system changes and things like that. Now, we had some people who stood out. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman Empire emperor, from 161 to 180, AD, this was after Christ, right, was one of those who was a Stoic. And so there was a period of time there that you had a few different types of Roman emperors who try to put things back together. But here again, guys, dynasty struggle. We have this struggle in the United States right now, right? There's certain parts of the United States that are really trying to move back to a lot of the values, family values, things that we've had before. But there's a whole bunch of people in the United States who've gone through a number of years of a lot of different types of what I would call lascivious behaviors. And if you look at the body count type issues that people talk about, the younger people, it's a great example, right? Yeah, you have a right to do anything you want to do, right? But with a great power comes responsibility. And if you think you can just go ahead and sleep with everybody anytime you want to, you're back in the Roman Empire again. Or the Greeks or anything like that. Because people, there's a reason why we don't do that type of thing. And thousands of years will tell you why. And so when I look at Marcus Aurelius, there's at least 9 or things, 10 things that I want to talk about here. So let's talk about things that he talked about and believed. So first of all, the first one is delay gratification. Here again, we just talked about the same thing a second ago. He's talking about delaying gratification and not just going ahead and sleeping with somebody, losing your energy, right, when you know the bigger purpose. Now, it takes an immense level of control, and you can't do that unless you're on your purpose. Very few people can control themselves unless they on some kind of plan. They're not just going to give up their energy, because that's where you come to the stress and anxiety we talked about in another video. Okay. Never play the victim. Number 2, another thing he mentioned. Don't play the victim. You have to take responsibility. And you could say, this is my responsibility. I'm the one that's releasing. I'm the one that's kind of putting myself in this position, because the only way you're going to solve this is when you take responsibility and you say that, okay, I'm the one that can change myself first. The people and things around you won't change unless you change first. That's that law of attraction we talked about before. You will not be able to change anything until you realize you're the one that's creating 99% of your good things and bad things. And if you do that, you'll get help from the Spirit. In this case, I believe God is going to help you to be able to kind of get to the point where you want to accomplish those things you can accomplish and get away from the temptation, things that are making you weak. Ignore naysayers, okay? So lots of people are going to go ahead and tell you you're wrong, especially when you're in a journey. This is why we are the 1% Club, right? The 1% Club is the idea that you are a few persons. Many people don't agree with what we're doing, right? And even in the back in the old days, where even the Catholic religion, everybody was pushing this idea. When I was growing up, you still didn't have a lot of people who believed in this. People became more liberal. People said, okay, we're going to go ahead, and this is back in the 60s, obviously, with the revolutions, the sexual revolutions, and the hippies, all the things that we dealt with back then. When I was a young kid, I saw that. Free love, free this, free that. Well, it's not really a free, people. It's not that free. When it comes down to it, you're paying a price. It may look like it's free because you're not actually giving any money sometimes. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But the bottom line is you're still giving something yourself. And you have to be very careful of that, because in the long run, you're giving something. Every time you do that, I don't care if you're male or female here, anytime you're sleeping with people and you're losing energy, you're giving something yourself. And people don't realize that, so keep that in mind. Having a purpose, right? Or Marcus Aurelius talks about having a purpose. Obviously, you can't go anywhere unless you have goals. If you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there. You're just going to kind of move around and kind of like a chicken without a head, walking around and not knowing where you're going. And that's why it's always important to know this. Now, when you're on your journey, it's easier to focus. It's either to kind of get to the point of knowing, okay, I can do this. I know how to do this. All right, commit. So that's another thing, commit. So obviously the first thing to commit to is a journey. And commit to this, believe that this is going to help you. I always thought that it was important to release in those things because it's healthier for me. I was wrong. This is a big to me, a big farce, right? It is not something that's going to help you. I believe it's the opposite now. After being on this 400 and some days and looking at the history of what soldiers and warriors did and athletes have done, they're retaining, and they're retaining for a reason. So this has been a big falsehood, that to me, that, telling you that you need to release all the time, that to me is just killing young people, and older people too, killing us all. Be honest. Be honest that you take responsibility, right? Number 6, I think he said, be honest. Take responsibility for what you're doing. Be clear with people about your intentions, because there's no time to waste on being dishonest. There's no reason for it, right? There's no purpose for it. Number 7, show up every day. Every day is a new day to a wise person. Every day is a new day to a wise person. That was a quote a long time ago. What does that mean? Every day you're getting up, it's a new day to accomplish more, new activities, new things you can do, new ways to become better. But get up every day with the enthusiasm and the idea that you're going to go ahead and battle these demon forces and people out there and be better with it. You become stronger and stronger, and all of a sudden these forces are no longer around. Okay? And number 8, be a role model. Look at yourself and say, okay, what would happen if this idea, this thing I'm thinking about, was in a newspaper tomorrow morning? That's always the way I've looked at this. If what I'm doing this minute is going to be in a newspaper, how would it look to other people? So it stopped me from many temptations in the past, because I can think of myself, okay, this is the headline in tomorrow's newspaper, and my friends, everybody sees this, and it's not good. Not good at all. And you're at the point where you're embarrassed that these things are coming out. So that's why I think that people get caught up in temptation. Yeah, they made a mistake. Yeah, they get to the point where it hurts a lot of people. And so, for instance, things like cheating, having multiple affairs, they end up hurting a lot of people in the long run. It feels great at the time, right? For a short period of time. Same thing with releasing. But it's hurting people all the time. It's hurting you, other people around you, and obviously we have family and those type of things. That hurts that. So always remember, how would this look tomorrow morning in a newspaper? What I did. And the last thing is, try to use control and the C model every day. Now, Marcus Aurelius didn't say this was a C model. It was something I came up with. But the idea is still the same. Control yourself. If you're able to control yourself, be able to use your journey and use these things you're doing, then you're able then taking that and then going to the next step, and you got the confidence then to keep going. You got the confidence to look people straight in the eye. You have the confidence to say, okay, I'm doing the right things now, right? And then you can communicate those things, and you can work with people and get those win-win situations and create success for yourself. And this is what it comes down to, guys. So everything comes back around. This is why I guess I've created this channel and kind of focusing on these better things you do. It's really a matter of controlling yourself against yourself. All right. Another one, Roman Empire's Emperor's Nero. I think Nero said this. The worst enemy you have is yourself. Maybe it was Cicero actually that said this. But the worst enemy you have is yourself. You're the one you're fighting with. We don't see that because we deal with a lot of people during the day, a lot of situations. But the person you're really fighting with is yourself. And anybody who's succeeded, anybody that has happiness, anybody that really is getting closer to their God, is a person who has learned how to control their own, emotions and control themselves. A lot of that all goes back down to that one thing, and that's controlling your energy. You control your energy and the sexual energy you have and transmute it into positive things. Now you're on top of the world, and now you're a different type person. All right, I hope this helps. We'll come back with another video soon. Until then, battle on.